right, there we go.
Yes.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everyone's having an amazing week so far.
Yes. You guys ready? For those of you that are new to our ecosystem, I want to give you a quick snapshot of who we are and what we do and why you might want to listen to us. But I'm Jen Conkey, the brown-haired one of the Jen and Stacy Conkey. A lot of people are like, I don't know which one you are, right? I began my investing journey more than 20 years ago. It was back in 2002. My brother came over and he asked me to go with him to the store. We ended up driving around neighborhoods to identify fix and flip properties. Fix and flip, right? That's the day I decided to take up real estate investing as a side hustle while climbing a corporate ladder. Fix and flips, they fascinated me. But in 2015, I was tired of the fix and flips. I was tired of doing all those small ball things. And in 2015, I realized the ladder in corporate America was on the wrong wall. And I just happened to meet Stacy at the time. This is Stacy, for those of you that don't know. And she had been coaching students one-on-one in real estate investing back then. So by 2016, we had both been to so many seminars on real estate investing, and we decided to take our first stab at learning syndication. And after months of, and I do mean months,
It was a while.
after months of implementing what we were taught, like we realized how costly it was to hire an SEC attorney, get a private placement memorandum, and find sponsors that would actually help us with funding. And after banging our heads on the wall for a few months, we had a pivotal moment where we realized, hey, we could actually leverage the same strategy that we had used for acquiring 2 to 4 unit properties and use joint venture. So after years of implementing and perfecting that joint venture apartment acquisition strategy, the Remote Multifamily Investing Academy was born, and it is the #1 academy for teaching investors how to scale with apartments while leveraging joint venture first. And then we teach you how to syndicate. It's easier that way. So welcome to our weekly training. I want you to buckle up. We're about to drop some serious value bombs and get you catapulted instead of stuck. We want you in action versus being stuck where you are right now. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about all things financing. And if I didn't say it already, make sure you grab a pen and a paper. Financing. Now, when you think about acquiring multifamily properties, do you start feeling that sense of fear or nausea when you think about how am I going to fund the deal? Because it's the most common chokehold, keeping too many investors just stuck. And that might be just like you, just stuck in this pattern of inaction and then self-doubt and ultimately zero results, like a big goose egg. So today we want to get very clear. We want to clear away all of that mental clutter and give you what's realistic in the world of multifamily financing today so that you can confidently move forward without wondering, like, how's it all going to work out? All right. So why do you need to know about multifamily financing? Well, we've noticed that when investors are making a move into multifamily from their previous real estate activities, one of the big hangups is the financing and how it's different from residential financing. And well, when there's a big mental hangup about something that you don't understand, you're usually stuck doing nothing. And then time moves way too quickly for you. And then you stay stuck. So then you start having this self-doubt and wondering, is it ever going to work out for me? And then you start having fear. Will I ever be able to change my financial situation?
Okay. So at the beginning of this training, we mentioned we have a system for successfully financing your multifamily deals. And today we're here to share the ins and outs of financing so that you can see what it looks like in action and start building your confidence so that you can actually move forward. So there are 2 primary ways to finance your deals: lender financing and seller financing. Knowing this to be true, today we're going to be focusing on lender financing and getting you more comfortable with all of this and showing you the 3 most prevalent types of lender financing in today's economy. Okay, so the first is bank and credit union financing. 2 is agency debt, and 3 is private debt or bridge debt. So at our upcoming live event, WowCon, our primary real estate training topic is going to be all things seller financing. And we'll talk more about how you can join us at WowCon later on in the training. The good news is all of you are going to benefit from being here today. It's hard for any investor, new or experienced, to move forward on something when they're missing such a big piece, like how does the financing work? So let's do a quick example so you can wrap your mind around this. Okay. Generally speaking, when you're talking about residential multifamily, which is 2 to 4 units, it's not uncommon to get somewhere between 75 and 80% LTV. And for those of you who are newer to real estate, LTV stands for loan to value. And it's essentially the percentage of the purchase price that the bank will loan to you. So for example, if I'm buying a property for $200,000 and getting a 75% LTV loan, the bank would give me $150,000. which is 75% of the purchase price. And then I'd bring the balance to the closing table. When you get into the commercial financing, which is anything for 5 or more units, it's a different ballgame. The LTVs that the banks offer can be lower. And why? Like, why is that? Banks want to make sure that you, the investor, is financially vested in the deal, so much so that if things went sideways on a deal, you're not just going to walk away, right? You have way too much skin in the game. Like, you're going to stick in there and figure it out. Plus, if a bank is ever required to foreclose on a property, they want to be able to offload it as quickly as possible. And the lower the amount that they have into it in the form of the loan, the more likely they can sell it quickly to an investor who's just waiting to jump like on a great deal.
Yeah. And last month, we had Dakota Brown from Franklin Street come to our event and share with everyone where lenders currently stand with things. So I want to share some of those things with you so that you can start piecing things together and increasing your confidence so that there's not so many things that are a mystery to you. Okay, so get your pens ready. Make sure you get your pens ready. All right, let's do this. Wow, numbers on a slide. So here are some things that he shared. For bank and credit union financing, they've seen loans as high as 75% LTV as long as the debt service coverage ratio was at least 1.25, meaning the NOI on the property is at least 25% higher than the debt service. Now, these will be regular, full recourse loans, meaning that you sign personally, and if you default, they could come after you personally. This is the most common type of loan until you start getting into really large properties. If you want non-recourse, where their only recourse is taking the property back, then you're looking at more like 55% LTV. Now in August, rates were between the low 6s and low 7s for primary and secondary markets and 7+ for tertiary markets. Now, generally, the term of the loans are either 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. For example, right now, we wouldn't even consider a 3-year loan, and neither should you, because a 3-year term scares the crap out of us. We don't know where interest rates are. They're going to be in 3 years. I don't even know where they're going to be in 5, but you don't want to be forced to sell or refinance that when it's that soon and it's so unknown, right? You want to go for longer. So for us, we are absolutely leaning towards the longest possible term. So 10 years is where we're most comfortable because we have the most time, which means we have the most options. Now, amortization periods vary. It varies between 25 and 30 years. The longer the period, the lower the payment and the higher your cash flow. So generally, when we can get a longer period, that helps us maximize our cash flow. And that makes us happy investors. Right? It increases our return on our investment. And generally, these loans take between 45 to 60 days to close. Let me go like this. I'm going to try your way. Advance the slide. There we go. I'm butchering the slide movement because of the chat, and I'm sorry. Stacy's so much better at multitasking between the chat and all the stuff. I'm not done. And moving the slide. Just give me grace, y'all. I'm not a trainer.
All right. So the next primary financing out there is agency debt. All right. Agency debt is Fannie and Freddie, or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So they really have much better terms. But the torture factor of going through a loan application with them sends a lot of investors running for the hills to go and find a bank. They are going to ask you for everything under the sun, in addition to your firstborn. So just imagine for a moment getting a list of 50 things that they need, and you pull it all together because you're amazing and you provide them all 50 things. And then they come back and they ask you for additional 3 supporting items on 20 of the things that you gave them. Like, it's enough to make you want to say, you know what, forget investing. I'm all set to just work at Walmart stuck in shelves, right? Just imagine the frustration of that. You have to plan for a much longer closing as well. For them, typical timeline for closing is between 60 and 90 days. So when you're getting under contract, you have to make sure you build in extensions because it's a longer process. In August, interest rates were between 6.25% and 7%. So here's some of the reasons that you might willingly submit yourself to that torture. It's voluntary torture. Right? So they offer longer amortization periods, like 30 years. So it's easier to cash flow as opposed to a lender that only offers you a 20 or 25-year amortization period. For those of you who don't know about amortization period, I know most of you do, but in case there's anyone who doesn't,
I can barely say the word.
amortization period is that time period over which you pay the loan down to zero. So the longer that time period is, the lower your payments are, thus the higher your cash flow. Remember, more cash flow, it makes us happy. All right, and here's another reason we might volunteer for documentation torture.
Yeah, because they tend to offer 5, 7, and 10-year loan terms. And the most compelling thing about Fannie and Freddie, and why most investors will actually endure the high torture factor, is that the loans they're a non-recourse loan without having to bring like 45% down payment. So you might start to see why it might be a little bit exciting to do Fannie and Freddie. Okay, but how much do they loan? Well, they generally lend up to 75% LTV or 1.25 DSCR. God, I never get that acronym right, or whichever is lower, right? So Fannie and Freddie have some pretty compelling things about them, but it comes at a price. And as Stacy mentioned, it is the price of your sanity. So the third is a private bridge debt. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on that one because the rates are really crazy right now, like 9-11% plus origination fees, plus potentially an exit fee. And it's very expensive. So especially we're in a higher interest period. So the gist of it is that the private bridge debt is generally for properties that have a relatively heavy rehab lift that a conventional bank won't lend on. So private bridge debt is for the in-between, like while you're renovating and stabilizing the property, then you would refinance into longer term debt. Now, seller financing. Ooh, this is my favorite topic.
We love this.
Seller financing. That's when the seller of the property is the lender. Sometimes they own that property free and clear. Sometimes they have a mortgage and wrap it with a new mortgage to you, right? Seller financing is going to be a huge financing strategy for the next several years because it will allow you to negotiate interest rates, terms, amortization, price, literally everything. The fees are a tiny fraction compared to dealing with a lender. And it's the reason this is the real estate topic that we're going to be going deep on during November's WowCon event. And speaking of WowCon, whoa, that is such a sexy poster. If you haven't registered, don't wait, because this event's going to blow your mind. Not only are we going to be going deep on seller financing, but we have multiple speakers on multiple subjects related to multifamily investing. So you're going to want to do that. We have a national multifamily lender coming to speak, if you don't know, Julianne Peterson. And she also connects with the best possible commercial lending that you can find, as well as being a connection to sponsors for those of you that are wanting to get into bigger deals than you've ever been in before. And you're going to need someone to co-sign to help you get the loan. So she can help with that. And we also have a former hedge fund manager coming in to teach you how to attract money to your deals. I don't know about you, but I feel good whenever I'm attracting money. We also have a company coming to teach you about how to get business funding. And we're bringing back Lisa Lewis. Everybody, she spoke at our event in May and everyone raved about her talk about the gap and the gain. They asked her to, hey, can you bring her back? So we are. And for those of you that are ready to smash through limiting beliefs and rock the next year, on day 3, I'm going to be guiding you through an exercise where you're going to have an opportunity to break an arrow with your throat. Yes. Anybody want to do that? Put arrow in the chat if you want to do that. I mean, it is optional, but for those who do it, like there's literally no stopping you once you do that because it's a 40-pound arrow. It could break, it could literally kill a grizzly bear, right? And I'm going to show you guys a quick video. Actually, you have it, right? Do you have the video?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to show you a quick video to give you a visual of the non-real estate parts of the event, which make the epic real estate sections just seem like no big deal. All right. So let's watch it really quick. Oh my gosh.
You leave here with new hunger and desire to make your real estate dream come true. This is my 3rd one, and it just keeps getting better and better. It just keeps getting better.
Shot of energy for real estate investing.
You are taking a risk by going into real estate, so why not taking a risk and develop relationships?
Very unexpected, a lot of fun.
It's a place where I get recharged and then I'm like ready to take on the world.
throwing axes and doing golf, doing scavenger hunts all over town and doing all this fun, crazy stuff, you really get to know people, and it's in a really fun way.
Big part of it is the networking.
Get together, play games. Just like last night, we all got together at the bar and everyone was just having a good time.
Is it time yet?
I know that.
Wait, I cannot wait.
Get excited.
Anyway, we'll give you guys an opportunity to register at the end for that. We ended up having a lot more of our students attending this time, way more than usual. I guess the words got out. So there's not as many public spots as we had originally planned. But we would love to see you guys there and help you change your entire life.
Yeah.
And look, guys, we have created the ultimate networking event, not because we just have a big room for people to mill around and meet each other. Like, we create structured activities throughout the entire event to help facilitate relationship building. And I'll give you an example. For those of you who get there in the afternoon or early evening on the day before, you're going to be able to participate in the pre-event networking kickoff, which is a lip sync battle. That's right. You're going to be competing against Jen. About 75% of the people who are coming are in the academy, and they've been coming to these. We've been doing these quarterly just for the academy students. This is the first time we're opening to the public. They are all warmed up, super fun, super friendly, amazing investors. That way you get to come into day one already knowing some people and having a good time with them. And let's make you more comfortable. So day one, we go from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. In the classroom, in the seminar room, and then everyone breaks, comes back at 8 o'clock for casino night. That's not what was supposed to be next. Okay, there we go. So we have oh my gosh, my presentation's gone mad.
It's because of me and my effects on your mouse.
So we have a professional casino night company coming in to do craps and blackjack and roulette, and yes, of course, there's going to be prizes for the top 3 winners that night. Day 2, same thing. We go 9 to 6. And then we send you guys out in groups of 8 to 10 to restaurants that are near the hotel that we will have made reservations for you at. That way you're not trying to talk to like 80 or 90 people at once, but it's also not just 2 people. We just found that within groups of 8 to 10, it's the ideal size to really allow people to get to know each other. And at our August event, we got so much positive feedback from it that we're doing it again at our November event. This will probably be the last time we do this because our next location next year isn't close to hotels. So
no, it's not. It's
this
actually
is like a good opportunity.
It's on that resort. It's like enclosed.
Yeah, it's at that. Yeah,
different
it's
opportunities.
Resort.
Yeah.
All right. In the past, we've done things like photo scavenger hunts, escape rooms. We did pirates and admirals on a cruise ship. Like, we know how to have a good time. Well, hold on. Jen knows how to have a good time. She usually has to drag me along.
That's not true.
Well,
yeah. Maybe.
Well, whatever. Okay. Well, on day 3, we go from 9 until about mid-afternoon. So much of that day is about mindset and preparing yourself for ultimate success in multifamily. And it's totally voluntary. I know that Jen already mentioned it, but everyone will have an opportunity to break through their limiting beliefs by breaking an arrow on your throat. Jen is a master practitioner of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and she's certified in leading people through the arrow break. And I will tell you what, it is the most powerful thing I have ever seen. Those are pictures from our May event, the first time we had done it. And holy cow, like, you literally leave having leveled up in every imaginable way.
That's my favorite thing.
I know, it's amazing.
I know that we talk a lot about real estate, but the mindset piece is 80% of this business. So.
Totally.
Okay. Anyway, it's truly impossible to just really explain everything and how incredible our events are. But I mean, I hope we'll just see you there, because sometimes you just got to, you got to experience something to know what it is. So I hope we see you there. It's the first time that we've opened this many seats to the public. In August, we opened up 5 seats. That was it. This time we opened up 40, and there's only 13 left. You can go to www.wowcon, which is WOWCON.com, to register. It's November 3rd through the 5th, unless you actually want to come in on the night of the 2nd and combat me with lip sync battle. It will be epic. Then you obviously want to get there and participate.
The 2nd, yeah.
All right, let's get back to financing. Okay, so there's a pretty big difference between financing when it comes to residential properties, which is 1 to 4 units, compared to commercial properties, which is anything basically north of 5 units. So for residential financing, the lender is underwriting you first and the property second. And even when the property is rented, which they will take into account, they'll often be looking to see whether you can afford the payments even without rental income. So on the flip side, commercial financing, it's different. The lender is underwriting the property as the primary. It's like they're looking at it as a business. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to look at you, but their primary focus is on how the property operates and does the property cover the mortgage. So earlier when we mentioned that lenders want to see at least 1.25 DSCR, that's referring to how much net operating income the property produces and how well that covers that debt service, which is just another word for mortgage. How about an example? Let me give you an example. Okay, here we go. So let's say your monthly mortgage payment is $10,000. The bank would want to see that your monthly net operating income is 1.25 times that amount. So 12,500 at a minimum. All lenders are different. So some lenders might have a higher requirement like 1.3 or 1.35, whatever their requirement is, they will only lend an amount that will meet their requirements. If they have to lower the loan amount to hit it, then you're going to have to bring in more money to the deal in order to use that lender.
Oh, yes. How many of you guys know that Jen and I wrote a book earlier this year? If not, if you guys don't have it, you can wait for an ad to land in your Facebook because, you know, we'll find you somewhere. You wait for an ad to land in your Facebook and you get the ebook, and it actually comes with a bunch of other resources as well. Or you can go to Amazon and get a physical copy. We made it super affordable because we really want people to get to know us while they learn. Anyway, in the book, we have a whole section on financing and breaking down all the terms, details, etc. So if you haven't read it, get it. You'll be glad that you did. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret, and it is my secret weapon for having an excellent reputation among all of the lenders that I have ever done business with.
She's the lender's pet.
Are you guys ready? I am the lender's pet. That's my goal. All right. There are some things that you can do to prepare in advance for when you need to apply for a loan, and having them in a folder, ready to go, labeled, organized, is going to give you confidence and set you up for success. Here are a list of things that you can start pulling together. All right. The front and back picture of your driver's license, the last 2 years of tax returns. Now, when it comes to tax returns, they're going to want all businesses that you have more than a 20% ownership in. So if you're already active in any kind of business and you own more than 20%, you need to get those tax returns as well. You should see our lender file it's enormous. I mean, if they printed it, it would be, anyway. You also want to pull the last 2 to 3 months of bank statements. Some lenders require 2 months, some require 3 months. This is for personal, business, savings, investment, everything. All right, you're trying to show them what your liquidity is. You also want to do a personal financial statement, also referred to as a PFS. Look, the PFS, it takes a while to fill out. So if you've already done it, it's just much easier to go and quickly update it when you're in the middle of due diligence and you're having to look up all this minutia to get your PFS done. Like that's the worst time to be just starting it, when your eyeballs deep in a deal. And if you already own some real estate, as several of you do, have a schedule in Excel prepared that shows you what you bought, well, like the address, what did you buy it for? How much rehab did you put into it if you rehabbed it? What's the market value? What's the rental income and expenses and the details of the debt service? All lenders are different as far as what specifics they're going to want. So the more detail that you put in your spreadsheet, that's just for you, that you have available, the easier it is to pull all that information together when the time comes. Okay, now actually none of that was my secret, though it's good advice to get that stuff ready, because as Jen always says, the time to be ready is not the time to get ready. All right, my secret is this. When I get the email from the lender with their list of requirements, I create a new folder and I label everything in the order they asked for it. So I will literally put so if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I will label the first letter of the file name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that I can, well, you'll see why in a minute. That's the first part I do. I'll explain that in a second. The other thing that I do is I will change the file names to match what they put on the list. So if mine, my thing said, 1040, like if my CPA called our tax return, 1040, 2022, JNS Conkey, but the lender's thing says, 2022 personal tax return, then I'm going to change the name of the file to 2022 personal tax return. And then whatever number in the beginning goes with what order they asked for it
Oh,
in.
it's just like NLP, like matching someone's communication style.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought of it like
By
that.
the way,
Yes.
I'm really grateful that you do all of this.
You're welcome. I like it. It's fun to me.
Not me.
What's next thing to do? Yeah. Okay. So listen, taking the time to get everything labeled and organized, it's going to make you look like you've been doing this forever, even if it's your first time. And unless it just cannot be helped, you want to wait to send the items until you have all of it. So they're getting one email with everything labeled with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attached in the same order that they requested it. So not only is it labeled that way, it's also attached in the same order. When you make their life easier, it makes you look like the golden child in their eyes. And I'll tell you, it must be that almost nobody, except the students in the academy who learned this from us, it must be that nobody does it like this, because the amount of feedback I get from every time we do a loan or a lender is they're like, oh my God, this is the easiest. Nobody's ever prepared it for us like this. And they made it so easy. That's why I want to share this with you. What most borrowers will do is they'll send multiple emails. So they'll get like, oh, I'll get my tax returns and my driver's license. Here, send that. And then like 3 hours later, I'll get like these 3 things and send that. And they're sent with random pieces, not in any order, not labeled the way that the lender labels it. So it takes, this is no judgment if you do this. This is how I was in the beginning. It took me a minute to get to this point. Okay. Been doing this for 20 years. It takes the lender a lot of time to figure out what do they even have, which delays things and causes a lot of frustration on their part. In addition, if you've done any real estate and your lender asks you for the same thing over and over, and you're like, what in the heck? I already gave it to you. This would be a way to keep that from happening because you've communicated to them in their preferred modality, right? Labeled the same way.
Yeah.
So if you want to shine with your lenders, take my secret and apply it to your business.
I love it. Dee said, great point. Organize. Don't send them a hot mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And especially don't let them know you are a hot mess.
Keep that a secret.
Keep that a secret. Like Stacy said, it's the exact strategy that we teach our students in our academy, where we provide organized information and speed of implementation while holding their hand with our team of coaches so that they can get the financing they need when they're getting into their deals. And, we have something for you to help you as well. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it should be on the screen. I see the chat right there. Okay, cool. So if you want to learn more about financing, we have a more detailed training, Financing Your Deals, and it's bit.ly/capital RMFIA _ financing with a capital F. Now, remember the capitalization, it matters, or else I wouldn't be that OCD about it. But what I want you to do is I'm going to leave you here for a moment for those of you that are trying to type that out. Thank you, Mark. That way you can have access to the training. All right, go ahead and grab it. I want you to get access to that training right away and get into action with this stuff, and definitely start preparing all the files that Stacy just mentioned, because that stuff helps. No problem.
Okay, well, hopefully everyone has it.
Hopefully everybody got it, right? So also, if you identify as an action taker and you recognize that immersion is the best way to apply what you learn and get results, then you have to register for WowCon, November 3rd through the 5th in Orlando. And I'm going to leave the information on the screen here for a couple of minutes, right? Next week, speaking of that, we're going to be talking about how to leverage social media for raising capital legally. Now, if you haven't started leveraging social media marketing, you are definitely going to want to get started as soon as possible. Now, because there's a right way to do it, and there's a way that can do it that causes fines, possible jail time, and just, you don't want to do it that way. Okay. Just make sure you're here with us next week for that in-depth training on how to do it the right way so that you can start building your investor database to fund your deals. Because once you have this financing thing figured out and you got deals coming in, you're going to need some more capital to fund them with your investors. So next week, Stacy and I are going to be at a networking event in New Orleans. So I want you to be at that training, but I also want you to know we had to push it back a little bit because we're going to be at this event. So it's going to be at 3 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendars right now on that time change, and then be here with us next Friday. Okay. We look forward to seeing you guys there. You guys have a good one.
Have a good one. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, you guys.